Hello everyone, welcome to Gnan Manchi online classes. In last lecture, we saw about deforestation, its causes and consequences. We learned about deforestation and the effects that it has on plants, animals, and humans. Today, we will learn about the different ways in which we can conserve plants and animals. So, why it is important to conserve plants and animals? Why we need to conserve them? And before we learn how plants and animals are conserved, we must be familiar with some terms used in conversation. So, key terms used in conversation: flora and fauna. Flora is plants and fauna means animals found in particular area. Endemic species that are found exclusively in a particular area. For example, the species of frog shown in the picture is endemic to Marlborough region of South India. Extinct and endangered species which no longer exist on earth are called extinct, which is dodo is an extinct species. Then dinosaur, there is also, this is also an extinct species because they are not now available on the earth. And species which are on the verge of becoming extinct are endangered species. जैसे endangered species को जो इस एज पे है एक्सटिंक्ट होने के टाइम का, जो वन हॉर्न राइनो है वो endangered species है, क्योंकि they are very less in amount and in no more less time, if we don't conserve them, they will be no more available on this earth. Then conservation, what is conservation? Conservation is the protection of resources against wasteful use. In the context of this chapter, it is the protection and preservation of plants and animal species. कंजर्वेशन बेसिकली क्या होता है कि जो रिसोर्सेज होते हैं उनको कैसे प्रोटेक्ट करना कि वो गलत तरीके से यूज़ ना हो, वेस्ट ना हो उसका। अगर चैप्टर की बात कर रहे हैं तो हमारे यहाँ चैप्टर में कंजर्वेशन और प्रिजर्वेशन जो बात हो रही है वो प्लांट एंड एनिमल के स्पीसीज की हो रही है। नाउ नेक्स्ट इज इकोसिस्टम. What is ecosystem? A biological community of interacting organisms and the physical environment is an ecosystem. एक community होती है जिसमें organism अपना environment जो होता है उसको ecosystem बोलते हैं. Organism और उसका environment जहाँ वो रहते हैं, जैसे हम घर में रहते हैं तो हमारा ecosystem मतलब friendly environment हमारा house है. So biological community of interacting organisms and their physical environment is ecosystem. Migration, the seasonal movement of animals or birds from one place to another. Migration क्या होता है कि कोई animals birds होते हैं वो migrate करते हैं एक place से दूसरी place पे seasonal के हिसाब से. Red data book. A red data book is a document that lists the names of all endangered species. The IUCN plant रेड डेटा बुक, उसमें क्या है कि जो endangered species है उसकी लिस्ट है. So these are the familiar terms we should know before the starting of conservation of plants and animals. Now let's see what is conservation of plants and animals. In India, there are three types of protected area where plants and animals are conserved. हमारे इंडिया में थ्री टाइप्स ऑफ प्रोटेक्टेड एरिया जहाँ पे एनिमल्स और वो सब कंजर्व होते हैं. फर्स्ट इज़ वाइल्ड लाइफ एंड सेंचुरी, सेकेंड इज़ नेशनल पार्क एंड थर्ड इज़ बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व. ये तीन चीज़ें हैं, वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी, नेशनल पार्क और बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व. ये तीन चीज़ें हैं जहाँ पे एनिमल्स और प्लांट्स को प्रोटेक्ट किया जाता है, कंजर्व किया जाता है. So now let's see first wildlife sanctuary protected. Wildlife sanctuaries are area where wild animals are protected and conserved. Unlike zoos, animals live in their natural habitat in a wildlife sanctuary. वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी क्या होता है कि जो वाइल्ड एनिमल्स है वो वहाँ पे रहते हैं और उनको प्रोटेक्ट और कंजर्व किया जाता है. जिसे जू में पैक करके रखते हैं वैसे नहीं, एक पूरा उनका फॉरेस्ट होता है, वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी जिसको बोलते हैं. वहाँ पे वो लोग फ्रीली रह सकते हैं अपने नेचुरल हैबिटेट में, नेचुरल जो आदतें हैं उसके हिसाब से. Restricted. You hunting and poaching of animals are the introduction of new species is not allowed in this area. हंटिंग होता है, फिर एनिमल ऑफ पोचिंग ऑफ एनिमल्स, और कोई नए जानवर वहाँ पे अलाउड नहीं है. जैसे भद्रा वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी कर्नाटक, दिस इज एन एग्जाम्पल. ओके, नाउ लेट्स सी व्हाट इज नेशनल पार्क. National parks are protected area where all flora and fauna are conserved. Plants and animal species are protected in their natural habitat. जो फ्लोरा एंड फना अभी हमने टर्म्स जो मैंने कीवर्ड्स बताए उसमें देखा, प्लांट्स एंड एनिमल्स. और नेचुरल पार्क्स जो होते हैं वहाँ पे प्लांट्स और एनिमल्स को कंजर्व किया जाता है. रिस्ट्रिक्टेड क्या होता है? नो कटिंग, ग्रासिंग एंड हंटिंग इज अलाउड. The areas are also protected from human exploitation, pollution and industrialization. वहाँ पे ह्यूमंस का एक्सप्लोजन, पॉल्यूशन जो करते हैं और इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन वो नज़दीक के एरिया में अलाउड नहीं है. फॉर एन एग्जाम्पल, जिम कॉर्बेट नेशनल पार्क इन उत्तराखंड. So this is an example of national park. Now biosphere reserve. Biosphere reserves are much larger areas of land and can encompass multiple parks and sanctuaries within them. The largest among these three is Biosphere Reserve. उसमें multiple parks और sanctuaries सभी biosphere में reserve में it can be included multiple parks or sanctuaries within them. They protect not just plants and animals but also the culture and human communities that are native to that area. वो उसका काम क्या है कि वो सिर्फ प्लांट्स और एनिमल्स को नहीं बट वहाँ का कल्चर और जो ह्यूमन कम्युनिटी है वहाँ के नेटिव एरिया की वो भी कंजर्व करते हैं. रिस्ट्रिक्टेड, दे कंजर्व डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ बायोडाइवर्सिटी, टेरेस्ट्रियल, मरीन और कोस्टल. जो डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ बायोडाइवर्सिटी है, टेरेस्ट्रियल, मरीन और कोस्टल, उसको भी वो कंजर्व करते हैं. सो कन्वर्जेशन ऑफ प्लांट्स एंड एनिमल्स. तो उसमें प्रोटेक्शन फॉर एनिमल्स, जो वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी है वहाँ पे एनिमल्स को प्रोटेक्ट किया जाता है और हंटिंग को रिस्ट्रिक्शन दिया हुआ है. एंड इन नेशनल पार्क्स एनिमल एंड प्लांट्स बोथ आर कंजर्व्ड और प्रोटेक्टेड. एंड इन बायोस्फीयर एनिमल, प्लांट्स एंड community. So the most protection happens in biosphere reserve because they conserve animal, plants and communities. And national park, animals and plants. And in wildlife sanctuary, only animals. So many more conservation, then many more restriction on hunting for wildlife sanctuary, then cutting, hunting and grazing for national sanctuary, and many more other restrictions that we saw in the biosphere reserve. So now let's see practice questions. Practice question number 14. 14.1. Which of the following statement is true about biosphere reserve? It is meant for the biosphere. It is meant for the plants, animals and all the communities, and they conserve the biodiversity and culture with the communities, right? So that option is option B and C. These both are correct. There is no protected area with its limit. Option D is incorrect. And it is protected area where only endemic species live. That is also an incorrect option. Now second question. Compare the contrast to wildlife sanctuary, national park, and biodiversity reserves. So we have to differentiate all these three. So in wildlife, we know that animals are protected. National park, we know that flora and fauna and plants and animals. And in biosphere, much more larger area that can protect plants, animals, and human communities with their culture. Then in restriction, hunting is restricted in wildlife, and national park hunting, grazing, and cutting is restricted. And then it in biosphere, controlled amount of human activity is allowed in the different zone. And in India, we have 50 wildlife sanctuary, 100 national parks, and 18 biosphere reserves in total. Okay, next. What are endemic species? Why are they in great danger of becoming extinct? Endemic species are plants and animals that are found exclusively in particular area, and they are not found anywhere else in the world. For example, the Aztec lion found in the Gir forest of Gujarat is endemic to that region. If the natural habitat of this species is destroyed, the endemic species are lost and there is no chance of reviving them as they are not found anywhere else. सो पहले एंडेमिक स्पीसीज क्या होता है कि एंडेमिक स्पीसीज वैसे प्लांट्स और एनिमल्स होते हैं जो पर्टिकुलरली वो स्पेशल एरिया में मिलते हैं. हियर इज एन एग्जांपल कि जो एस्टिक लायन होता है वो हमारे गिर फॉरेस्ट में, सासन गिर, यू नो एवरीवन, गिर फॉरेस्ट में गुजरात में मिलता है. वहाँ पे एस्टेटिक लायन होता है, एशियाटिक लायन, सॉरी, इट्स एशियाटिक लायन. एंड जो एशियाटिक लायन होता है वो सासन गिर में पाया जाता है और वो वर्ल्ड में किसी और जगह पे नहीं पाया जाता है. अगर वी कुड नॉट कंजर्व देम और वो डिस्ट्रॉय हो गए तो फिर हमारा जो एशियाटिक लायन है वो पूरे वर्ल्ड में से चला जाएगा और उसको वापस लाने के लिए हमारे पास कोई एक रास्ता नहीं है और उसको बचाने के अलावा हमारे पास कोई दूसरा रास्ता भी नहीं है. So, if the natural habitat of the species is destroyed, then the endemic species are lost and there is no chance of reviving them as they are not found anywhere else. Okay, by this practice question we did 14. We are end of our first biology chapter, which has three part: crop production and management, microorganism friend and foe, and conservation of plants and animals. This all three chapters were included in biology unit number 1, crop production, microorganism, and conversion, and by this we completed the whole chapter of biology unit 1. And here in your supplementary book, in supplementary book page number 20 and 21, there is a revision guide which will help you to see how to remember, how to check the mark. And check the mark means how to see what you learned from this chapter and what you know which you already completed. So here is a video based on that.
How to use the revision guide. Let us see how to use this for revision. This is the revision guide that will help you revise all critical concepts before your assessments. It will tell you which concepts are important and which questions to practice from the NCERT books and the lead supplementary book. In the first column, the NCERT book section is mentioned. For example, for topic 3, you need to read section 8.3 from page 102 and 103 of the NCERT book and answer the questions on page 103. You should also read concept time 4 and answer practice question 3 from the SP. Once you do these, put a tick in the checkbox. In case the NCERT book column is empty, read only what is there in the lead supplementary book column. For example, for topic 4, read concept time 5 to 8 and answer practice questions 4 to 6. Happy learning!
So tomorrow we will start a revision of this chapter, whole chapter, and you also start revising yourself with the help of revision guide. And in some time, we will in the test we will take this chapter. So revise this through the revision guide or yourself. And if you have any doubts, please feel free to call. And tomorrow's class we will do, or in next class we will do the uh, revision of this chapter. Thank you all and have a nice day.